U.S. removes Thimerosal from flu shots. What you need to know. A major shift in U.S. vaccine policy has sparked nationwide debate. The government is set to eliminate mercury-based preservatives from flu shots, a move that has ignited fierce controversy among health experts and the public. But here's where it gets controversial. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence showing no harm from the ingredient, the decision could leave millions without access to a safe and effective vaccine option. At the heart of this controversy is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary, who recently led a pivotal vote to remove Thimerosal, a mercury compound used in some vaccines, from the nation's flu shot supply. This decision follows a dramatic reshaping of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, the body responsible for guiding vaccine safety standards. Kennedy's actions have drawn sharp criticism from medical professionals who argue that this move undermines decades of research and public trust in vaccines. The change affects roughly 4% to 5% of the annual flu vaccine supply, including certain multi-dose vials of Sanofi's Fluzone and 2 brands from CSL Seqirus. While manufacturers confirm they can replace mercury-containing vials without disrupting distribution, critics warn that limiting vaccine options could result in fewer people getting vaccinated, especially among vulnerable groups like children and seniors. This decision also reignites long-standing fears that Thimerosal, a common preservative in multi-dose vaccines, links to developmental disorders like autism. Kennedy himself has long been a vocal advocate for removing the substance, even publishing a book years ago that called for its elimination. Yet, over 40 studies spanning decades have consistently found no connection between Thimerosal and developmental delays. The compound has been safely used in vaccines for decades to prevent bacterial contamination in multi-dose formulations. As the debate continues, one question remains. Do you think this decision is a step forward or a setback for public health? The answer may lie in how we balance scientific evidence with political influence, and whether we're prioritizing convenience over clarity in our approach to vaccine safety. U.S. bans Thimerosal in flu shots. Kennedy's vaccine policy shift explained. In a significant shift in public health policy, the United States has decided to cease the distribution of all flu vaccines that contain Thimerosal, a mercury-based preservative. This decision, announced by U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is part of a broader effort to reform vaccine regulations. On June 23, a panel of experts, selected by Kennedy himself, voted to recommend that Americans receive seasonal flu vaccinations that do not include Thimerosal. This recommendation comes despite extensive research over the years that has consistently shown no safety concerns associated with the preservative. Interestingly, only about 5% of the flu shots administered in the previous season were multi-dose vials containing Thimerosal, a substance that has been largely phased out in recent decades. For years, anti-vaccine advocates have drawn connections between Thimerosal and conditions such as autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. In fact, Kennedy authored a book in 2014 where he called for the immediate elimination of mercury from vaccines, further fueling the debate. The FDA has stated on its official website that there is no evidence to suggest that Thimerosal in vaccines poses any danger. The previous decision to remove it was primarily a precautionary measure aimed at reducing mercury exposure in young children. One panel member who opposed the recommendation highlighted a crucial point. The risk of not receiving the flu vaccine due to the presence of Thimerosal may outweigh any potential risks associated with the preservative itself. Notably, vaccines such as Afluria, Flucelvax, and Sanofi's Fluzone still include Thimerosal in their multi-dose formulations, as indicated by the FDA. Kennedy has accepted the panel's recommendation, as confirmed by the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS. Although the CDC director, who usually approves such recommendations, has not yet signed off on this one. The nominee for the CDC director position, Susan Minares, is still awaiting confirmation from the U.S. Senate. Other recommendations from the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, made during a meeting in June, are still under review by the HHS. Vaccine manufacturers have assured that they can provide alternatives to the multi-dose vials containing Thimerosal, ensuring that there will be no disruption in vaccine supply. Sanofi has acknowledged the new policy and confirmed that they will have an adequate supply of flu vaccines available this season. However, CSL has not yet responded to inquiries regarding this matter. This decision raises important questions about vaccine safety and public health. Are we prioritizing safety over scientific evidence? What are your thoughts on the removal of thimerosal from flu vaccines? Join the conversation in the comments below.